Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Half the work week theoretically in the rearview mirror if you've been working the entire week, which a lot of you probably have, but plenty of you not working at the beginning of this week, so it should feel better that you've only been at work for half a day and we're getting a little bit closer to the weekend, officially working towards that weekend here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and thank y'all for hanging out with us. Preview LSU baseball against North Dakota State tonight, plus a look back at what we saw last night in just a crazy game at Alex Box Stadium. My SEC baseball power rankings also coming up at 2:30, so we'll get to that 30 minutes from right now. LSU goes to Rupp Arena last night, and it just got absolutely whitewashed from the jump. I mean, just really not competitive start to finish. Kentucky, we told you yesterday, is really good offensively. They run great sets. They've been extremely efficient on offense, even without Jackson Robinson. And that was going to be a handful for LSU, and the Tigers could not match them. And then offensively, LSU wasn't very good either, outside of some early Cam Carter threes. And Kentucky just was never even threatened in the game up at Rupp. So we'll talk about it with Matthew Brune, who covers the basketball squad, among other things, for the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 crew. And he joins us now, as he does every Wednesday. Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Hunt, doing well. Just another day covering LSU.
So let's talk about. We're going to do a little bit of this, I guess, over the next week and a half. But, I watched this team in the pre-conference, and I didn't think they were a threat to win the SEC. But I looked at them, and I watched them beat Florida State and go to Kansas State and dominate that game and play a great second half against UCF. And they didn't step on any landmines against the really bad teams on their schedule. And I was thinking, this team is decent. And you're going to look up at 3-15 with some blowout losses. What do I make of that?
I still think this team is decent. I still think they're. I obviously the record is the record, and fans have every right to be upset at it. And it's definitely not where you want to be. But nothing has surprised me to this point. We all knew with the limitations of the roster, especially without Ward and Reed, that it would be an uphill climb in this SEC. And now, the past couple games are without Corey Chess, Victoria Miller gets hurt, and I just didn't think they had a shot against Kentucky with their three-point shooting and their offensive ability. So nothing's changed for me. I still think if they played Kansas State, if they played that game again, it wasn't a fluke. I think they're better than Kansas State. I think they're better than UCF. These teams that are being competitive in other conferences, Florida State, so on, in terms of the middle of the pack. So I think nothing's really changed for me. It's just they can't beat these top-end SEC teams that are in the top 25.
I don't mean to be overly critical when I ask some of these questions, and I feel like we're just kind of discussing the team that we cover here. But I'm watching Curtis Givens, and he's not turning the ball over, but I don't see any playmaking either. Is that what you see when you watch him out on the floor?
Yeah, Givens has definitely been the least spectacular of the three freshmen. I'd say to this point, I think physically he's there. He's 6'3", and he can really extend. I think defensively is a lot of his hope, but offensively he just does not have that playmaking ability that you need at that point guard spot. And then the shooting hasn't been where he wants to be at. So definitely, I think he has a ways to go. When he comes back, I don't know in terms of anybody coming back,
right.
But just if he comes back, he's still not probably an SEC starting point guard that you look for and say, all right, that guy's going to lead us to the top half of the conference.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, and because we don't know who is going to be on next year's team, it's not even that worthwhile to talk about it at length. So they've got one more regular season game. A&M's coming off a monster win last night on Senior Day. They hung Wade Taylor's name in the rafters. Any chance that LSU gets a sleepy Texas A&M team on Saturday in the PMAC?
Maybe. A&M had lost 4 straight games before that went over Auburn, and I think Auburn, it was an obvious letdown spot for Auburn. So I wasn't really surprised that A&M got that win, like you said, on senior day. There is a chance for a letdown on the road right before the SEC tournament. Without Victorious and Corey, they just have 8 players, and they're not good enough. Like, they're not even close to good enough without those 2 especially. So you go into it with the starting 5, and I think the 3 on the bench are Mike Williams, Eric Fountain, Jordan Sears. I mean, this is very dire spot here for LSU. I struggle to see them being able to keep A&M off the glass, and they're going to have to outscore them.
Just kind of hard for me, honestly, to have seen this type of implosion coming around Christmas time. I really thought this team was gonna put up a fight, and it just didn't necessarily happen for a lot of reasons, as you mentioned. The league being as good as it is, the injuries, and then some very poor play as well. So we'll kind of put that in the rearview mirror. The women head to the SEC tournament this week. They'll play on Friday night in Greenville. No Flau'jae Johnson this week for LSU. Is there anything to be gained from the 1, 2, or 3 games that they play in the SEC tournament, or are all eyes on the NCAA tournament at this point?
Well, for the team, there's nothing to gain. The team isn't, I don't think, and Kim Mulkey has never looked at these conference tournaments as being worthwhile.
Yeah.
That's why Flau'jae is not playing it, even though I think she could. If this was an NCAA tournament, she'd be out there. But I do think there is something to if they have to beat Alabama, if they play them in the 3-6 game, and if they do that, then they'll have a better chance at a 2. If they lose it, I think they could slip down to a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, which the difference between a 2 and 3 might not seem like it's huge, but it matters. It matters when you're not having to play a top team right on in the Sweet 16. Maybe you can play a lower 3 seed or something instead. Those kind of margins matter to me. So I would be trying to win that first game at least. But, Kim Mulkey is just trying to get everyone healthy and get everybody to the NCAA tournament.
What do you think is probably going to be the flaw that gets them in the NCAA tournament, assuming that happens?
I think the easy thing is the point guard play. I think we've seen consistently in these losses, especially the South Carolina loss, the Texas loss, and the Ole Miss loss, the ball pressure that those teams have had and their ability to take LSU out of their offense has been the difference in those games. And you just don't have high enough point guard play to get them going. You've seen a lot of Michaela Williams initiating the offense, which is good, but it's not where Kim Mulkey wants to be in terms of having to rely on her so much to do all the work here. So we'll see. Once Flau'jae gets back, I think, we know what to expect in terms of how teams are going to attack them, especially defensively. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is the point guard spot.
Are they in a group that can win the whole thing, or are they probably on the outside looking in with some of the teams that have been more consistent?
They're on the fringes. If you asked me a week ago, I'd say they were in that group. It's hard for me to definitively say that with the question marks that they have at point guard. I think center is still a question. That's just the limited depth they have. There is definitely a draw that they could have where if they win their Sweet 16 game, and I wouldn't be shocked if any one seed got upset this year. South Carolina, UConn, and UCLA, any of them can be upset. So it feels a lot more like the men's tournament this year compared to years past where, you just get all the one seeds rolling in. This definitely feels like a year where it wouldn't shock me where a 2 or 3 seed may have made a run at it.
He's Matthew Brune. If you're looking for your LSU team coverage, you can find it at the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 family. He, Shea Dixon, do a killer job over there, and we appreciate his time every single Wednesday. Matt, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Matthew Brune from the Bengal Tiger On3. I'll be pretty candid with you. This 2 months of basketball has really bummed me out, and I know that a lot of y'all pretty swiftly can move on from football, put basketball in the rearview mirror after that 6th straight SEC loss and just lock in on baseball. And y'all know how I feel about baseball, but I'm watching some of these SEC basketball games when I get a chance to, and it's so competitive and it's so much fun to watch. And you look at the bracketologies and you see some of these teams, and even Kentucky and A&M fans, and their teams are hovering around 500 in the league, but they feel like they're right there in the thick. They feel like they can make a push because that's how good the league is. And for LSU to just be standing on the sideline watching this, like, it bums me out.
Yeah, it's not fun when you go into almost every game and you just think that there's not much of a chance LSU is going to win this game, and that's just not an enjoyable experience. And like we talked about before with how players, college kids, and high school kids, they're all resilient. Like they're not gonna go into the game and not try. Like and that's the hard part, man. Is like even for me, like even though they've only won 3 games, I go and start watching these games and just think maybe they have a chance, and then they just end up, it's just the same thing happens.
That attitude didn't last very long last night.
No, it didn't.
Oh, my
Not.
goodness. I mean, you just look up in Kentucky. I wrote this in my story at LouisianaSports.net, and I don't even remember the number. I'll pull it up as I'm talking through it. But essentially, Kentucky got to the rim an astounding amount in the game last night. Let's see. It was 6 dunks and 13 layups. They got 19 rim makes in 40 minutes. That's about 1 every 2 minutes they're finishing at the rim. Like that's come on, man. It's just that's just can't happen.
Yeah, no, it's like the beginning of the game. LSU makes the first basket, they up 2-0, and then Kentucky goes on a 15-0 run in like 4 minutes. And it's just like, okay, yep, this is what's going to happen.
And look, Kentucky's really good on offense. They scored 106
on
Florida. They scored 95 on Mississippi State. They scored 81 on a tough Texas A&M defense. But it's just they scored 50 in the first half. That whole thing is a bummer to me. And trust me, I'm locked in on this baseball, and I'm about to talk baseball in 4 minutes from right now, and I'm excited to watch them play again tonight against North Dakota State. Like, that's how sick I am. But it still bums me out to watch the basketball team go 3-15. And I realize that there are so many LSU fans that are like, whatever, who cares? But it bums me out. Like, just very, very, very candidly for you. All right, let's talk some baseball next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, LSU and North Dakota State tonight from the box, 6:30 first pitch. Before we get to that, let's go back to what we saw last night. It's just not your standard issue baseball game. North Dakota State came in at 1-10. Sorry, 1-9. They're 1-9 on the season, and their team ERA was like 11. And you figure LSU will just pound out 10 or 12 runs, and North Dakota State, who, oh, by the way, has a bunch of guys hitting about 215, 220 in their lineup, won't necessarily do very much, and you'll get on down the road with the win. What happened was Connor Ware took the baseball for LSU, and he didn't have it. The second batter of the game, he struck out. Cade Arambidi couldn't block it up. Ended up getting the runner down to first base. Couple of hits, including a triple that Chris Stanfield couldn't quite catch. Then you got wild pitches, more walks, and all of a sudden, North Dakota State's put up a 3-spot in the first inning that could have been worse. Then Ware settles in, and he strikes out 2 of the next 3 in the second inning, and you feel like he's got it between the buoys, and he comes out in the third and can't throw it over the plate again. He gets behind everybody. Now you're dropping pop-ups that are in foul territory that no one's calling. I mean, LSU made a comedy of errors in the first 3 innings of this game. You got the walks, you got the wild pitches, you got the hit batsman. LSU hit 4 guys, not in the first 3 innings, but in the game. You've got a catcher that's not able to block pitches up. You've got guys not communicating on foul pop-ups. You've got a double play ball that you throw into the dugout. Like, it was just awful from jump. And you look up, and after 4 innings, 3.5, I should say, you're down 9-5. And sometimes you just have to admit that, like, this is going to happen in a 56-game schedule. And in the big picture, I'm just glad it happened against the team that we knew LSU was going to score 11 runs against, and the Tigers came back and won the game. Because that was going to be a quad 4 loss. Jay Johnson has said repeatedly that he thinks this team's going to win a bunch of games, and they might. Like, I don't know. But they certainly aren't winning them right now, and they're digging themselves quite a hole to be a team that has a reasonable RPI. Like, they look to me like they're going to be a quad 4 team. They're 1-10. I know they've been down south and they've played TBU and Alabama and LSU, and that's tough. Maybe they will win a ton of games. I just don't see it right now. But it was going to be a quad 4 loss, and LSU dug their way out of it. So what can you pull from this that is genuinely concerning? It's just a nine-inning baseball game out of a 56-game schedule. What can you legitimately pull from it? Well, the first thing that everyone that's watching the game can see, and this is something that I talked about just a lot in January and early February. I talked about this a lot. LSU defensively at catcher was going to have to figure some things out because Luis Hernandez didn't catch last year, and Cade Arambete's coming from high school, and Eddie Yaman didn't really catch last year, and Blaze Priester is not a great defensive catcher. He's a powerful hitter. And it was evident to me, just based on profile and based on scrimmages, that LSU was going to have some trouble, potentially, behind the plate defensively. And right now, Cade Arambete's just going through it. And I'll tell you this. I think he is as toolsy a catching prospect as LSU has had in a very, very long time. I think he's got more raw tools and ability than Michael Papierski did. I think he runs better. I think he's quicker. I think he's got every bit the arm. He's not a switch hitter, but I think he's every bit as toolsy as Papierski was, maybe more. And then you start to think about the other guys, Milazzo, Travinsky, Neal, Tyler McManus, and then you go back even further and you get back into the days of, Hunter Fiducia's in the big leagues now, but he wasn't a great catcher at LSU. Ty Ross was slow-footed and didn't have much power and didn't hit for a high average. He's as toolsy a catcher prospect as LSU's had in some time. And the fact of the matter is that he was catching guys in high school. I didn't go to his high school games, but I'm assuming his high school staff wasn't throwing 96. That's my guess. I'm assuming his high school staff was throwing 86 with the loopy breaking ball. Catching that, as opposed to catching this, different worlds. But there's nothing that he doesn't possess physically that you need to be a quality defensive catcher. He's got quicks. He's got an arm. He's got to do a better job fundamentally of getting in front of the baseball and deadening it. He tries too often to pick it with the backhand, and he's still not quite adept at corralling the ball and getting and squaring it up and knocking it down in front of him. And the ball skips away too often. But the only way you're going to get better at that is to play. And right now, LSU can make up for it. But against Arkansas and Tennessee, you can't. So right now, Luis Hernandez is very much the number one catcher. He had to come into this game in the fifth inning and play the rest of the way to try to give LSU a little bit of defense. But Jay Johnson's not going to give up with Arambeete. By the way, he launched a home run in the left field seats last night as well. I think he's going to be a really good catcher at LSU. Right now, he's not a very good defensive catcher. And that position demands it. Because you can hide a bad defender in left field. You can essentially hide a bad defender at first base. You can't hide a bad defensive catcher. They have to block the ball a dozen times a game. If you do that at a 50% clip, it's a merry-go-round. So that is a concern. Connor Ware, not a concern right now to me. He couldn't find his command. He got the strike. Look, you look at the line score. He struck out 5 in 2 innings. So there was some stuff in there. He just couldn't throw for strikes. Into the game, 59 pitches he had thrown and only landed. Where's the strikes? I see every other pitcher on here. Except, there he is. Okay, 59 pitches, 35 strikes. That's not good enough. And he still got, and his fastball velocity was down a little bit. He threw a pickoff throwaway, for goodness. It just wasn't his day. And I still believe in him as a bullpen piece on the weekends. I still believe that he's got a lot to offer this team. I believe he did not have his stuff yesterday, and that just happens sometimes. So I'm not as concerned about that. Really, the only chief concern I have in this game was defense behind the plate. And you've got to keep working with Arambeete and make sure his fundamentals are better and keep running him out there and let him play. And if it needs to be just on Tuesdays, that's fine. If it needs to be once you've got an 8-run lead this coming Saturday, fine. Get him out there. Plus, rest Hernandez's legs because you're going to have to play him some. And look, Hernandez came into the game and struck out all 3 times he came up there. So you've got issues at catcher right now. Hernandez did have 3 hits in the game on Sunday. He did hit 23 home runs last year. I think he can be a fine offensive player. I don't think he's going to hit 300. I don't think he's going to hit 15 home runs. But if you can get 270 and 6 or 7 home runs out of Hernandez, great. That's the only thing from yesterday, even though it was just an awful first 5 innings for LSU, that I would honestly take from the game and feel like you gotta give a closer look to. I love the way Daniel Dickinson continues to swing the bat against this bad pitching. 3 for 4, launched a home run, also laid down a drag bunt. I thought that was great. Stephen Milam comes through twice in huge spots. One got a little bit fortunate, reached out and poked one into center field for the tying hit. And then he didn't get cheated at all on a missile down the right field line on the game-winning hit with the bases loaded. That was really good to see. Derek Curiel at a leadoff spot on base 3 more times. Jared Jones not extending himself, even in a spot where LSU is losing by a handful of runs against a bad team, and there could be pressure for him, the most powerful bat in the lineup, to step up and drive one out of the ballpark at any point to try to get LSU closer in a hurry. He still draws 3 walks. I love that. Got a hit, scored 3 times. The top 3 guys in your lineup, Curiel, Jones, and Dickinson, combined to score 8 runs. Love that. Jake Brown scored 2. Thought that was good as well. And then out of the bullpen, it was great to see Chandler Dorsey come in and get 2 innings worth of outs. Jay Johnson was very honest when asked about Chandler Dorsey in the postgame. He said, look, this guy's been facing LSU since October, and it hasn't gone very well. But he's kept working, and he hasn't complained that he hadn't gotten in the game for 2.5 weeks. He had his chance to get in the game. He did his job. That's a good thing to see for him. Zach Cowan continues to eat up outs as a long reliever, 2 2/3 innings of shutout baseball with 3 strikeouts last night. And then Kason Evans comes in and does what Kason Evans does, slams the door, 2 strikeouts in a scoreless ninth to earn his 3rd save of the season. Evans did have a little bit of a scary moment in the game where he slipped off the rubber in mid-windup, ended up not delivering the pitch and was called for a balk, but seemed like he was okay. Got the guy out on a ground ball within a couple pitches and seemed to be okay. So you look at LSU tonight against North Dakota State, you still ought to score a bajillion runs because these guys can't pitch at all. But what does LSU do on the mound? I'm assuming William Schmidt will start. I think you'll see Maverick Rizzi in this game as well. Jacob Myers is a guy that I would expect to see for more than 1 inning in the game tonight. Maybe Cooper Williams can get back on the horse and pitch. I would like to turn this game, if we're being honest, into a very low leverage spot for a lot of guys to get some work on the mound and then some other guys to get some work at the box. So if William Schmidt can come out for 4 innings and go nuts, have at it. This is the last midweek that I want to see starters cranking it up to 75, 80 pitches. I don't want to burn Connor Ware and or William Schmidt on Tuesdays moving forward with an SEC weekend looming. I'd rather see those guys available on the weekend. Still don't expect to see Gavin Guidry in this game, but I think the guys I listed could be options here. It'll start with William Schmidt, we very much think, and hopefully he can continue to build on the really good start that he's had. He was great in the 1 inning that he pitched on Saturday. Hopefully a little bit more of an extended outing in this game, and he's as good as he has been really all year. So that game can be heard on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. You can catch that pregame at 6 o'clock. First pitch from the box at 6:30 between the Tigers and the Bison. I'll have a post-game story up at louisianasports.net. All right, let's step aside. When we come back, SEC Baseball Power Rankings on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. And part of the perks of being a Genesis driver, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 3 years, complimentary maintenance. 3 years, complimentary maintenance. And that maintenance can be valet, meaning they want you to have a convenient experience. They come to you, they drop you off a loaner. So you get on with your day, keep moving. You don't have to halt everything while your car is being serviced. They bring your vehicle to the dealership right there, Airline at Piku, across from Women's Hospital. They handle the maintenance. They drive the vehicle back to you. You're back on your way. That's how convenient being a Genesis driver is. If you have not gotten behind the wheel, have not given Genesis a shot, I highly recommend you do it. It's a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them airline at Pico or online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Genesisofbatonrouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
One more weekend of non-conference baseball ahead of us. For LSU, it'll be North Alabama at the box. Then it is time to get into the 30-game grind that is the Southeastern Conference. It'll start for LSU against Missouri, but it's going to be a slog for 30 games, as it always is. Hopefully, Tigers get off to a little bit better start this year than they did last year. I'll tell you what I think about the Southeastern Conference coming up right now in our SEC Baseball Power Rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Tennessee Volunteers.
I still got the Vols up top. Their ace looks every bit the piece of an ace. Liam Doyle's been sensational. They've got 8 grand slams on the year this year. That's not a typo. 8 grand slams. They've got more grand slams than some teams in college baseball have home runs to this point. That's just kind of the way that Tony V has shaped this offense. And look, it's not elite competition they're facing, but they did go to Houston and take care of business for 3 days. So I think this is the best team in the country right now. I got Tennessee at number 1.
The Florida Gators.
I still got Florida at number 2 here. Brody Donay was really good over the weekend, hit a big home run against the Miami Hurricanes. They took 2 out of 3 in that series in Gainesville. Kevin O'Sullivan owns Miami's baseball program. I think it's a talented team. I like Kobe Shelton. I like Liam Peterson at the top of the rotation. I got a good look at their Sunday guy who was really good for 3 innings, and then it kind of fell apart for him there. But the stuff was really good. I think Florida is a really good team to be reckoned with. I've got them at number 2.
The LSU Tigers.
I just didn't love LSU's pitching over the weekend. I do love it on its face. I think that the depth of the staff is going to be awesome when they can move Ware and Schmidt and Guidry into the bullpen, which they're kind of not right now. I will really like that. But I have some concerns there, and I need Kate Anderson to do something in the 6th inning. So I think LSU's really good. I think they're a top 8 team in the country right now, maybe top 6 team in the country right now. But I would put them just a tick behind Florida and a couple ticks behind Tennessee in the number 3 spot in the Southeastern Conference.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
So this is kind of a reputation play by me. Gabe Gackle is their Friday guy who's going to be really good. He was a freshman All-American consensus last year. He got crushed by Charlotte over the weekend. 3 innings, 10 hits, 9 earned runs. And he's only got 5 strikeouts over the last 2 outings. I just think he's going to be better than that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I think he's going to be better than that. They got Root in the 2nd spot there, and the Eloy brothers are just sensational. Just hit a walk-off grand slam within the last 30 minutes up there in Fayetteville. So Arkansas's got some questions, but I like their coach. I like their general roster makeup, and I think their pitching is going to be better than it was the last 2 weeks.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Wes Johnson's got a good team right now. They're playing well. They have not stepped up massively in competition, but he's overhauled the pitching staff, and you had to figure that was going to happen, and they're hitting enough. So I'll take Georgia at number 5.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Alabama's 13-0. They swept Jacksonville, the city, 2 weeks ago. That included Coastal Carolina, NC State, and Ohio State. Justin LeBron is, as I talked about last week, the best player in the conference right now. He's got 8 home runs. Their 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation is very talented. Riley Quick and Zane Adams. That's probably going to be the barometer for what this Alabama team is, because they are hitting it pretty well. But do they have a 1-2 punch that can stand up to the top teams in the conference? I may have Alabama too high here, but I've got them at 6. Texas A&M! I don't know what to do with them right now. I don't think they're 10th. I don't think they're 2nd.
Okay, but Hunt, we're like...
I'm telling you what I think they're going to be in league play, not what they've done to this point.
What's the point of the power? I thought the point of the power rankings is where they're ranked right now.
Anybody can tell you what the standings are right now. I'm telling you what I think the team is and what it will be this year. Okay. That's what I'm telling you what I'm doing. I'm not taking the exact standings and ranking teams. I'm just going, I think this is the 7th best team in the league right now. There are concerns. After Prager in the rotation, bullpen, they're not hitting worth a flip. Laviolette's striking out like crazy. It's been bad. Grahovic's out. I don't know if Early can coach at all. I can tell you 20 reasons why they're the 13th best team in the league, but I think they're more talented than that. I've got them at 7.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
They're 11-1. They did get run-ruled by Dallas Baptist last night, so probably not good for LSU, even though that is an LSU opponent. LSU plays Oklahoma 3 times, so we'll see. But I like the top of their rotation with the 2 Witherspoon brothers. We'll see what Cam Johnson is. He had his best outing over the weekend, and they're pitting a little bit. So I think Oklahoma's middle of the pack. I got them at 8.
The Texas Longhorns.
Horns have won 10 straight. Listen to these run totals in Las Vegas. They beat Washington, Texas Tech, and Illinois. They scored 35 runs in 3 games, and all 3 times they went into double figures. They're going to hit. The question is, can they pitch? That's Jim Schlossnagle's job, Max Weiner's job. I think they'll get something out of this staff. It's not elite. They don't have any first-round picks, but I think they're going to pitch enough with those bats to be decent. I've got them at 9.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vandy lost 2 over the weekend to Southern Cal and UConn. They scored 3 total runs in those 2 games. Vanderbilt is not as talented as they had been for a decade. The NIL thing and the transfer portal thing has hurt Tim Corbin's program. That's evident right now. They're 10th.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Hunter Elliott for Ole Miss has really got to go. In 16 innings, just 6 hits, no runs, 20 strikeouts this year in 3 starts. He looks like an ace. That's the guy we saw 3 years ago in Omaha carry them in part to a national championship. So that's a positive for them. Offensively, they may be mediocre. We'll see. But they got a good front end of the rotation guy, and that's a good place to start. So I got Ole Miss at 11.
The Auburn Tigers.
They had Sam Dutton going on Friday this week. Cade Fisher's a little bit banged up. They're hitting more than I thought. And they've got 2 great bats in McMurray and Irish, which I'll tell you about every single week. So I've got Auburn up a few spots to number 12. I think I had them at 15 last week. Still don't love Auburn, but they're better than I thought.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
I still don't believe in Kentucky. I don't think they have the talent.
You never believe in Kentucky.
I know. I didn't last year, and they got to Omaha, but that was the first time they had, and I just don't think the way they play is sustainable. So I got Kentucky down at 13. That's kind of where I'll have them until they do something significant in league play.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Their Friday guy, Pico Cohn, has been exceptional. Everything else has been just okay. They played a really good schedule. They played Southern Miss, who's ranked. They played Troy, who's ranked. They played Arizona, who's ranked. They played Oklahoma State, who's ranked. All those are good teams to play. They didn't beat any of them. That's the problem. They lost every game. They benched Hunter Hines over the weekend. He's supposed to be their best power hitter. I do like Ace Reese. He's hit the ball a ton. I watched a lot of him over the weekend. But Mississippi State, you got to beat somebody. They're not beating anybody. Got them down at 14.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Welcome back to reality for Paul Maneri's Gamecocks over the weekend. They were undefeated going in. They now have 3 losses. Clemson got after them in Clemson, in Columbia, and in Greenville, I think it was. They lost all 3 games to Clemson. That'll sting, and I think South Carolina's in for a rude 30-game SEC run. They don't have the horses.
The Missouri Tigers.
And Missouri's in a league all themselves. They're just awful. And I don't need to break that down anymore. They don't hit. They don't play defense. They don't pitch. That's about all you need to know about Missouri. Those are your SEC baseball power rankings. Tennessee, Florida, LSU 1, 2, 3. Arkansas, Georgia, and Alabama 4, 5, 6. A&M slides down to number 7 after a bad weekend. Oklahoma and Texas, the newbies, they're at 8 and 9. Vanderbilt at 10. Ole Miss at 11. Auburn and Kentucky at 12 and 13. Number 14 is Mississippi State. Number 15, South Carolina. Number 16 is Missouri. Am I being mean to Missouri back?
No, you're not. They're terrible.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you saying that.
I think.
You got mad at me for yelling at Vanderbilt.
Well, yeah. You're always mean to Vanderbilt for no reason, and you're also very mean to Kentucky in baseball for no apparent reason.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Well, why?
I hate their coach.
Oh, yes, right, of course. I don't know how I could forget.
Don't forget that.
You hold a grudge against their coach, and that
for
that
12
reason,
years, yes.
For that reason, even you will not actually.
I don't believe in that style
talent.
of play. I don't believe you can have a bunch of pitchers who throw sinkers and a bunch of hitters who bunt and steal and win it in this era of college baseball.
Okay, they almost did last year.
Got to Omaha.
Yes, they did. LSU? No,
did not.
All right, so they can be done. It can be done.
By the way, I wanted to say, as I was prepping Missouri talk there, I didn't even go and look at what Missouri did over the weekend because I didn't find it relevant. I was just going to put them at 16, so I just looked it up. They played Evansville on Friday and lost. They played Evansville in a doubleheader on Saturday and swept it. They played Evansville on Sunday and lost. So they split 4 games.
They're 6-6
with Evansville. They are 6-6. Their next action is against Binghamton this weekend, and then they'll head to Baton Rouge. So
shout out to the ULM Warhawks taking on Arkansas right now. That game just got underway.
Okay, so that was not the one that they continued from last night, where apparently they slept all night.
No, they postponed it.
Yeah, but and then Aloy hit a grand slam 2 minutes after they resumed to run rule the opponent. So they came back 3 minutes of action in that Tuesday game, and it was over. The Aloy brothers bash. They are crushing the ball for Arkansas, and they're really the only Razorbacks who are hitting it all. So, but I still think they're going to figure it out. I don't think Gabe Gackel's going to be as bad as he's been the last 2 weeks for the entirety of the season, but remains to be seen. All right, those are your SEC baseball power rankings. We'll step aside, take a timeout, come back and close it out on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Closet space can be a big, big deal. And you may have the space, you just don't know how to use it efficiently. You may not have the space. Either way, David Duvall and his team can help you with it. If you do have the space and you just feel like there's a lot of clutter, he can come in and just improvise a little bit. They can put in some different drawers, cubbies, mirrors. They can do some racks and help you maneuver some things to use that space a little bit more efficiently and fit everything where it needs to go. If you'd like to just add some space, David Duvall and his team are happy to do it. They've often taken stand-in showers out, put in a closet in that spot to put additional space in, and then do a tub-to-shower conversion so you still have the shower where the tub was, where the shower was, you've got a closet. These are the types of things that not everyone can do because they don't all specialize in bathrooms and closets. David Duvall and his team do. If you're looking for some sort of creative solution like that, go to onebathandclosets.com and request that free consultation today. It doesn't cost you anything to sit down with David Duvall and his team and just go through things. And if you get to the point where you're going to go through with the project, they've got financing that's available. Same as cash, 0%, 18 months if you qualify. Start the process today at onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Join us at the Louisiana Outdoor Expo at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center, March 14th through the 16th, just a few weeks from now. Head over to the front or back booth and register for your chance to win a U10 new canoe, a compact, versatile kayak perfect for fishing and hunting adventures. Visit 1045ESPN.com for details. Also, we got the Pels here on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. They will host the Rockets tomorrow night at 7, then travel to face the Rockets on Saturday at 6, and then return home to host the Grizz Sunday at 6 p.m. Pelicans coverage is brought to you locally by Industry Makes.
I could tell during my SEC Power Rankings out of my periphery that my bride was at the grocery store, and that can oftentimes be a bit of a disaster. Her decision-making is just not efficient at all. She panics, freaks out, can't decide what to do, and ends up walking out.
No list.
She didn't walk out. So she oftentimes has a list.
And the list just doesn't help. Doesn't matter.
We're kind of going day by day here with groceries because we don't want to stock the house and then leave for 3 days to have a kid. So the kitchen is clean and she doesn't want to clean it anymore, which is understandable. But it's like her main thing in terms of this grocery run is to make sure that we don't buy anything that really dirties the kitchen in terms of cooking it. So I'm seeing these text messages pop up because she's in charge of buying dinner for tomorrow. And I just read them and it was just a disastrous effort. She ended up buying chicken salad and croissants.
I mean, what's wrong with that?
That's a lunch. That's a cold lunch.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, why do we have to why do we have to ascribe to societal norms of what you have to eat for certain?
Because I want something awesome and hot that tastes great. I like chicken salad, but that's like a depressing lunch you eat at your desk.
Well, you can you can put the croissants in the toaster or heat them up, and then that'll give you a little bit of crunch maybe. And
put some avocado in there, really spice it up.
Yeah.
It was a poor effort. Let's just go ahead and call it what it was. It was a poor effort. She knows it. I know it. Myers will know it. It's a poor effort. That's all there is to it. We could have.
Myers is going to know. He's just going to be eating chicken nuggets and mac and cheese.
Never mac and cheese.
Or not mac and cheese.
Chicken
I always
nuggets,
forget for some reason.
Chicken and French fries and ketchup.
He's
That's
the only
one order.
child I've ever heard that doesn't like mac and cheese.
That's correct. Chicken, French fries, ketchup, lasagna. We're gonna try meatloaf
Baked
tonight.
ziti, of course.
Baked ziti, of course. I don't think that. I don't think it's gonna work. We're gonna try meatloaf tonight.
Try meatloaf. Okay.
If you come to my desk tomorrow and I'm eating meatloaf, it's because the child wouldn't eat it.
All right.
That's where we are with that. So
I mean, are you really trying to get him to eat different things?
yes, and he apparently eats everything at school. He went to a soccer stadium, like a soccer game, and the mom had like peanut butter and jelly. He knows if he sits down at that mini table in our kitchen, the chicken, French fries, and ketchup are available in some capacity. Therefore, everything else is unacceptable.
Ah, I see.
That's the issue.
Okay.
I don't know how we get over that. But
Yeah, that's I don't know. I guess that's why I call it parenting.
Kid needs to grow up.
Yeah.
Get a job. How about a little income?
How old is he?
3 and a little bit.
I mean, you're already on the Grove and get a job train. I see.
He's inconveniencing me. This new baby's inconveniencing me. I mean, he's canceling trips. I don't know what's going on.
Well, Hunt, you had a say in these matters, I think.
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
Some say. Less than 50% say.
Wow.
I'm thrilled to have the kids. Incredible kids. Just bad grocery run by mom and poor palate by the other kid. Let's do Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, you got some NFL news coming through today. We talked about it a little bit with Jamal Williams. That was a smaller headline. These are a couple of big ones here. The first one, which is Saints related, the Eagles are re-signing Zach Bond, All-Pro Zach Bond. That is
All-Pro Zach Bond.
First-team All-Pro Zach Bond to a 3-year, $51 million contract, including $34 million guaranteed at signing. An additional $1.5 million in incentives. The contract instantly makes him one of the highest paid linebackers in the NFL. The Saints stink. Take it or leave it.
Well, I don't have any choice but to take that. They haven't given me any other option. But great job by the scouting department to hone in on Zach Bond, one of the best players in the league.
No, it's crazy. I wonder why the scouting department was so high on him and thought he was worthy of a top 3-round pick. However, for some reason, the coaches didn't see it that way.
All-Pro Super Bowl champion Zach Bond. If I'd have told you that 3 years ago, you'd have said, "Wow, that's a nice."
I would have said that.
Nice job of development.
All right, next one. So, like I said, more NFL stuff here. This is probably the biggest. This is definitely the biggest news that's happened. The Raiders have signed Max Crosby to a 3-year, $106 million extension with $91 million guaranteed. Those guarantees haven't gone wrong recently, have they?
No.
Making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
Really?
Max can ride on Mardi Gras floats now. He could probably ride in 3 or 4 crews if he wanted to.
That's true. He probably could own all the crews if he wanted to, really. So you're actually taking this, though.
It's the Raiders. Whatever. They're not going to win anything anyway. I mean, he's really good.
They got to pay somebody. Yeah.
Got to pay somebody. You're not going to pay who's their. I don't even know who their quarterback is going into next year.
I have no idea.
They're trying to figure that out.
It was Gardner Minshew, I think, last year.
Surely that's not going to get.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah,
Maybe
you're
they're
not
going to
paying the
draft
quarterback
one.
anything. So yeah, pay your defensive end a lot. He's good. He gets a lot of sacks.
That works. All right. How about this? LeBron James, first player with 50,000 points. Of course, he passed Kareem, I think it was a year or two ago, and now he's got 50,000 points in the regular season and playoffs. Lay Compiler, take it or leave it.
Let me read this text that our buddy sent in our group text today. Said, you got 20 seconds.
We got a little bit of time here, but
I gotta find it. I can't find it. It was something to the extent of LeBron 50,000 points, pretty impressive. I was like, if that's pretty impressive, no one else has ever done it in the history of the league. So if that's just pretty impressive, then the rest of the history of the association has been a disappointment. Yeah, that's pretty good by LeBron. That's it for us, LSU baseball tonight. We're reacting to it tomorrow. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR. Y'all have a great evening. See you same time, same place for the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.